I noticed that people often got more unhappy the more they actually got what they thought they wanted.
Totally frustrating. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
Right. Because it's not about that. Aren't we really seeking our own absence?
Oh, well, I mean, that is what's really longed for in the end, is the absence of the individual. But the individual can't seek its own absence. It seeks something else. It lives in a world where there's something else, where it seems like freedom is hidden. And so it seeks that, which is exactly where freedom hides, the knowing or the seeking.
Welcome to Letting Go and the Greatest Secret, where we explore the end of your suffering and the beginning of lasting happiness. I'm Hale Dwoskin, and today I'll be joined by Jim Newman, who holds meetings on non-duality around the world. So, I know you don't particularly like talking about your story, but people always ask about it. So is there anything you feel comfortable sharing about what Jim Newman was, or the experience of Jim Newman before Jim Newman died or disappeared?
Yeah. Well, the story, I mean, about this, the story is that there was always sort of a passion about freedom, but it wasn't really recognized in any sort of direct way until there was an awakening when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And that sort of completely unwillingly set me on a path of trying to find something. Because I had no idea what happened. And, you know, all these people around, you know, the teachers of the time, they said they did. They knew what happened, or at least they were presenting a story or a teaching, which was supposed to bring me back to that. And so that I did that. That's pretty much the story.
So did you, before Jim fell away, did you hear the radical non-dual approach through Tony?
Yeah, was it Tony Parsons.
Yeah,
it was Tony. And that was the first time that someone said something which didn't have anything else in it except what was recognized happened in the 20s. Because all the other teachers would say things that sort of reflected what had happened, but they always had something extra on there, like what to do and how to be and all these other things which didn't quite fit. And it was listening to Tony that it was just immediate. It's like, yeah, that's what it was.
Yes. There's something very powerful about just the direct non-dual messages. There's no window dressing.
Yeah.
And there's no filters.
Yeah. No escape. There's nowhere to go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening or watching, what is the core message that comes through there? However it comes through now. I know it comes through differently in every meeting. I mean, there are certain things, of course, that are the same, but...
Yeah. That there's only naturally what is. And it's not in time. And it's unspeakable. But it is what everyone, not the person, but what every individual seeks. It's what's truly wanted, is what is, can't be described. And that there's an experience, the seeking experience, which says that what is needs something. Something has to happen for this to be what's truly wanted. And that's the illusion.
Yes. Yeah, the mind keeps itself very busy, or the person keeps itself very busy looking for what already is. Isn't that how what's going on?
Yeah. Well, it wants to know. And when it hears this message, it also wants to know that it's true. It can't help but want to know, because it is that experience of separation is the experience of knowing what is. And so it's stuck in a small loop, a predicament of wanting to know what is already, which is unknowing.
Right. And that doesn't compute.
No, it's completely useless. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun watching the wheel spin.
Yeah.
So speak a little bit more about this sense of knowing. Most people have it. It seems to me that most people have it backwards. They think the more they know, the better off they are.
Yeah, it's totally counterintuitive what we're talking about, because the experience is, or the expectation is, that knowing is a solidity, an answer. But it's actually the answer that causes the question.
Right.
It's like the individual thinks that there's a solution. What it can't get is the individual is illusory. There is no solution to being an individual.
Right.
So it's caught within its own experience of trying to find what's out of time through time.
Yes. And that's why trying to use time to approach time. And say that again?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's like trying to use time to approach time. It's timelessness just is. It can't be approached because...
Exactly.
So, and how does this... I've heard you talk about how this knowing comes about. Now, I know that's a little bit of a story, but it might be helpful for people to hear that.
It won't be. What it can do is it can sort of illuminate the predicament of the experience, a separate experience. But so there's a contraction in the body, out of which is actually the beginning of knowing. So knowing arises, and it's the knowing of here, which is the sense of it is like I have something. And out of that arises the I am experience. And with the I am experience comes the experience that what this is actually a continuum moving through time. And that's my experience of being a continuum moving through time. And that this time experience is real, it's meaningful, it's purposeful, and it has a particular need, which is more or less recognized by people, to become. A need, it's actually the sense of something missing, in the sense that knowing is the sense of something missing, and the need then to know more or experience more, or waiting for that particular experience or happening to make this what one feels is the solution to the experience of separation.
Can't happen.
No, it actually never does happen.
Right.
The individual is stuck with satisfaction where there's just a longing for fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a very unsatisfying experience that.
Yeah.
Even if everything's perfect, it's apparently perfect in the story.
That's the worst.
Yes.
That is the worst for the separate experience, because then it's at a complete loss as to what to do next.
Right.
Yeah. Getting what you want as an individual is terrible.
Well, yeah. I mean, even before I was exposed to this radical message, I noticed that people often got more unhappy the more they actually got what they thought they wanted.
Totally frustrating. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
Right. Because it's not about that. Aren't we really seeking our own absence?
Oh, well, I mean, that is what's really longed for in the end, is the absence of the individual. But the individual can't seek its own absence. It seeks something else. It lives in a world where there's something else, where it seems like freedom is hidden. And so it seeks that, which is exactly where freedom hides, the knowing or the seeking.
Well, is freedom actually hiding there, or is the seeking a distraction from what already is?
Well, I mean, that's one way to describe it. I wouldn't say distraction, because even seeking is freedom already.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
just being the experience that freedom could be found, that it's going to be an object. The experience of the subject, the experiencer, is that freedom, or what's missing is an object that can be found.
Right, right. Well, because even in very young babies, you touch their hand and they grip your finger, because that sense of seeking starts very, very early.
Yeah, well, the sense of seeking actually only starts when that contraction arises, when that contracted energy of knowing arises. That knowing is then the impetus, the beginning of seeking. The knowing I am is the beginning of the need to know I am.
Again, it's so backwards to the way the mind thinks it is.
Totally. This message really does add all the experience and expectation of the individual. So it's just not a satisfying message, because it doesn't meet any of the expectations that the individual has about what life is and who I am and what needs to happen. It's looking for a freedom that's exclusive, that has to do with something happening.
Right, right. Or not happening.
Yeah. Well,
again,
whatever it imagines. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unfortunately, there's lots of literature that reinforces that, where there becomes all this expectation that that is in this moment isn't freedom. It has to look differently than this.
Yeah, exactly. The individual is trapped in comparison. So when it's said that, for example, this is perfect, which it is, but that's not as a comparison. It's actually the lack of comparison that's the perfection.
Right.
It's the nothing happening that's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My original mentor used to say, you see the perfection where the seeming imperfection seems to be. It's not actually there.
Exactly. There isn't such a thing as imperfection.
Except within the mental construct of a person. The person.
No, that's perfect.
Oh, I get it. Yes. Even that's perfect. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Because there really isn't an individual, or that I understand that experience happens.
Right.
But it's just an illusion of what is, appearing as the need to seek what is. But it's still perfection.
Yes. Yes, that sense of perfection is, yeah. And isn't so the individual is constructed out of, or is lost in, I don't know if either one of those words are correct, but the sense of knowing, but isn't it also reinforced or lost in the sense of owning?
Well, those are experiences that it has. That's its function, is it owns everything that's happening. And it tries through ownership to manipulate, to tinker with the appearance enough to make it right. So thoughts and feelings are owned through the experience that it's happening to me. And then they're tinkered with. They try to manipulate them to make thoughts proper, or make them go the right direction, or feelings go in the right direction, through the experience that something, that freedom is hidden somewhere else. Right. And it's up to me to find it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we're all tinkerers.
Yeah.
Until we're not.
Total tinkerer.
But isn't that also what we're doing with life too? We're tinkering.
Oh, yeah.
But we're tinkering with something with dials that aren't attached to anything.
No, absolutely. The dream and the dreamer are the same thing.
Yes.
And it's all illusory. It has no effect in that sense on what is, as perfection or freedom.
Right. Nothing can approach that. Or
nothing can approach what is. And you have to say that what is isn't an object. It's what is and isn't. It's right, everything. Right. But the dream, the one interesting thing is when the dream stops, it never actually happened. It leaves no effect. It was just a dream.
Yeah, and also whatever is happening in the dream is not going to cause the dream to end.
No, well, no, of course not. But the beginning and the end of the dream are causeless,
Right.
and at the same time, this is causeless. That's why when it ends, nothing happened. Something ended that never happened. Because what is already causeless. Oh.
Right.
Yeah. Of course.
Another place where I just really like that last one. So another place where people, it's hard for people to imagine is that there's there's often this debate, is there free will or predetermination, but isn't there neither?
No, there isn't either, because nothing's happening.
Right.
Yeah, it's already timeless. Time is part of the dream, the illusion, and only in time would there be free will or predetermination.
Right. So is time just a part of the dream of me? That's all it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When there's no me, it's obvious that all that's happening is what is and isn't. Is this appearing as a thought or a memory or whatever arises? It has no connection to anything else. So there's no past that it evidences, and no future that it causes or affects.
But
It's just singularly what is.
Yes. Isn't that even true with memory? Isn't memory uncaused too?
Oh, there is only the uncaused.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, but the reason I asked specifically about that is because it's sometimes hard to imagine how I can apparently remember something that happened in the past, and that too it's happening out of time. It's not.
That's right. Yeah. That's freedom, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so basically, whatever is apparently happening is already the freedom that everyone thinks they're wanting. It's just already this.
It truly isn't what the individual wants, because it wants something it can know.
Right.
But that there is only freedom, unrecognizable. So it's not anything that anybody gets.
Definitely not.
No.
So, and it's also described as the sense of, it's also described as unconditional love. So how does that fit into all of this?
Well, it's the same thing, is that it's conditional love is a comparative love.
Right.
Is a feeling, is a sense that belongs to me that I know or don't know. Mm-hmm. And unrecognizable love or unconditional love can't be known, because there's no comparison for it. It's just simply everything.
Right.
Already.
Yeah. It's interesting that a lot of non-dual teachers, as opposed to the radical speakers the difference is there's someone speaking in the non-dual teacher, whereas there's no one speaking in the there.
Yeah. It's
that's
nothing.
The main difference, right?
Yeah, and the effect is that there's a teaching that has to do with a process in time that would bring it. The assumption is that there must be some sort of separation which can be overcome. So there's something to know and something to do to bring about not two-ness, non-separation. Yeah. That's why this isn't a teaching, because it doesn't have anything to say and it doesn't have anyone to tell. There's
Yeah,
nothing to know.
right. Well, but it's also just refreshing where there's not someone talking to someone. There's
Yeah.
just what's apparently happening. It's not
Yeah.
actually even a conversation, is it?
No. Well, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't anything real on any level. It's all apparent or
Yes.
seeming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, that's why. Isn't that why it's sometimes compared to a dream? Even though that's still just an analogy,
Yeah.
it's one of the closest someone who's still. It's weird. The language just breaks down because there's
It
really
does,
no
doesn't it?
one. There's really no one who's appearing as a person.
Right.
There's just no person. Period.
That's right.
And there never has been one. Right?
No. Yeah.
Full stop.
It is. It's full stop. It is.
So I purposely wrote down questions because
Yeah, good.
What there's still some wavering here where a person still is appearing from time to time.
Yeah.
But when I'm either trying to describe this or just listening to this, it's impossible to maintain that illusion.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's just impossible.
Mm.
So there actually isn't anything again, we're kind of coming to the same point from different directions, but so there really isn't anything you can do at all to bring about
Well, there just
what
isn't.
already is.
The individual is an illusion.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not that there isn't anyone to do anything. I mean, there isn't anything that can be done. It's that there isn't anyone to do anything.
Right. Full stop again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, the thing is it's so simple. It's so simple. There's just nowhere to go. It's so clear very quickly that, when you say what is everything, and it's not an object, and it's already fulfilled, then that's the end of it, really.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't really say much more than that.
No.
So, but is there I've heard other speakers talk about this. Is there some momentum between there are no personal thoughts. There's just thinking.
Yes.
Apparently,
yeah. But however, when there's an owner, it takes those thoughts, which are no one's, and applies them, owns them.
Right.
And immediately the individual is there. Everything then seems to be a part of a story, and that does affect the thinking. So it creates sort of a circle,
a feedback
thoughts.
loop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Same with emotions.
Yes. So there's only a feedback loop when there's someone collecting the feedback, isn't
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just thinking with no feedback.
Exactly. No one picks it up.
Right. There's no owner.
There's just a thought.
Right. Right.
Which it does seem to be more much more informational than like for the individual, where it has a lot of emotion and story in it. When there's no one, it just turns into sort of like a newscast.
Right.
of just reports of what seems to be happening.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So, there was a question that disappeared. Let's see if it comes back or not. Oh, so Is there, uh, even after it's recognized that there never was a person, is there any kind of momentum behind the old habit patterns?
There is sort of there's conditioning, and there's sort of neurotic knots,
Yes.
which seem to, when, as far as it seemed here, is neuroticism was maintained through the energy of me reflecting and trying to, tinker with it.
Right.
And when there's no tinker, it just loosens up.
Right.
It just seems to all loosen up.
Right.
But there does still seem to be a conditioning in the brain, of let's call it the past. Of course, there isn't one, and that conditioning still seems to hang around.
Mm-hmm. But doesn't it lessen over, again, we're back to describing a story, but doesn't it appear to
Yeah,
lessen over time?
I have a really difficult time knowing if it lessens over time. I
Yeah.
I don't know how to know that.
Right.
Yeah, but it does seem like I just can't really. I just at the moment it just can't remember.
Right.
It doesn't seem very complicated. Whereas as an individual, the world and spirituality and finding and being good enough and all of that seemed very complicated.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem complicated anymore. This doesn't seem complicated. It seems very easy, simple.
No, it's very simple.
Yeah.
I, I used to say, truth is simple. If it was complicated, everyone would understand it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like the more complex the message, the more the less it has to do with what is.
Oh, totally. And at the same time, it is what is.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the story is just simply a story. It doesn't become more or less a story. So it's not really that someone gets trapped in a story. It's
Yes.
just simply a story that's happening for no reason and can stop happening in the same way for no reason.
Yes. Yeah. The mind thinks there's a reasonableness to life that is actually absent, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, completely. No, it's complete chaos.
I remember when I first heard that part of the message, I rebelled against it
Yeah.
because the inculcation or the um, well, actually, that this brings up a good question. Isn't there also a sense of changelessness?
No.
Okay, so the changelessness is part of the illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and that's what
Well,
the person is looking for, is that changelessness.
yes. Something secure,
Right, right, right.
something reassuring, something that can be known.
So
Only
changeless,
knowing is changeless.
knowing changes all the time, doesn't it?
No, only knowing is
Right, that's what I said.
changeless.
But knowing changes
Yeah.
all the time. Every
Oh, yeah.
new,
Yeah. Yeah. But when we're talking about knowing in that sense, I think when you talk about consciousness or the, what do you call it? The witness,
yes,
that is the experience of an unchanging presence, a constant to which everything happens.
right. But that's still part of the dream.
That is the dream. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the again, so much of what's shared as truth or non-duality is still just an illusion.
Yeah. It's still in the story.
So does the mind actually have a function?
Well, I don't know what the mind, but if you say the brain, and
Oh,
I
the
don't even
brain,
know
yes.
if there is a brain. I mean, it's not something that anybody ever experiences or
That's true.
sees or anything. So, but let's say there's a brain. The brain, it seems to, drive a car really well.
Right.
It can make fish chowder. So in that way, it has a function. It functions. But it's not anybody that knows that. It just functions. It is a functioning happening.
So it's just like nature, though, isn't there's just a functioning in nature that
Totally.
and we as human beings think that we're somehow separate from nature, but
Yeah.
that's part of the dream, isn't it?
Yeah. Separation is the dream.
Yes.
But it's not that we're one with nature. It's that there's no separation. It's not a knowingness that encompasses everything. Again, we'd be back to awareness or consciousness.
Right.
It's the absence, which there's no knowing to be separate from anything else.
Yeah, it's the knowing that creates the sense of separation, isn't it?
It is knowing, which is separation. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that that we haven't covered?
Is there anything else?
No, I've
yeah.
Language.
Yeah. You said you wrote down some questions.
No, but we've I
covered
think
them.
I think we have.
Mm.
Oh, actually, I have one, but I think we've already covered it. It's interesting. Each thing just brings you back to the same full stop.
Yeah.
Everything, nothing.
Yeah, well, there's nothing happening.
End.
That's the message.
Right. Yes.
There's nothing happening.
Yes, full stop.
There's nothing
Done.
missing. There's nothing to find. It was just a dream.
Yes. And there's no one to find it.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So my original mentor, Lester Levinson, also used to say, first it is recognized that this is all a dream, and then it's recognized that it's a dream that never really was. But I think we kind of covered that. Would you add anything to that?
Yeah. No. I don't go with the dream. The dream thing just for me it just doesn't touch what this is as a dream. That implies there's somebody who could see this as a dream, I think.
I see. Yes, it does, I think.
Yeah. And it really is just unspeakable.
Yes.
Not in a sense that it's special, but in a sense that there's nothing separate to speak about. It's just too simple.
Yes.
Mm.
Definitely.
Mm.
So this may end up being a short interview.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, they tend to be.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So just if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
I have a website called simply there's a thing in it, simply this. www.simply_this.com.
And are you planning to start traveling again soon and doing in-person meetings?
Yeah, I have been traveling, actually. I was just in the US just recently, a couple of weeks ago.
Where were you?
In Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm familiar with that place.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was lovely. Yeah.
Yes. And are you still also doing the online?
Yeah. This coming Saturday, there's one. Saturday. Yep, Saturday.
Yes. Well, we record this, and then I don't know exactly when it's supposed to air.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. But anyway, so they can look, if they want to find you, they can look you up on your website.
On the website. That I keep that fairly up to date. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
So any other mind-stopping final message you have you wanted to share?
It's not really, for me, it doesn't really seem to be about stopping the mind as much as it does pulls the rug out of the energy
Yes.
to seek. That it just points out, it seems to make obvious the hopelessness of seeking what is already.
Yes.
And sometimes that's heard, and sometimes it's heard as an object to seek.
Yes.
And sometimes those two things happen at the same time. For, one body has both of those happenings of hearing it in some way and then still needing to seek.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Jim Newman. You can learn more about Jim at simply-this.com. That's simply-this.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe so you have immediate access to future episodes. Please give us a 5-star rating and share it with the people you care about. If you'd like to learn more about my work, my mentor Lester Levinson's work, and the Sedona method, please visit www.sedona.com. As you explore our site, you learn the key to lasting happiness, success, peace, and emotional well-being. We have books, courses, events, and plenty of free material to explore. Again, go to sedona.com. That's sedona.com. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Letting Go and the Greatest Secret.